Welcome to the Frontline. Industry insights and perspectives from America's fastest growing professional staffing agency, Frontline Source Group. I'm your host, David Wolf, and joining us on this segment is Ceesun Andrews. She's Vice President of Infrastructure and Design at Frontline Source Group and handles all the internal hiring there at the company. Ceesun joined Frontline in 2006, and she's opened several new offices for the company. At the core, we hear that she's really a people person. So let's welcome Ceesun. Welcome to the program.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great
David.
to have you. So much to talk about. I wanted to focus on this in this segment on process, but let's start with you and sort of your role at Frontline. What does it look like as VP of Infrastructure and Design at Frontline? What do you spend most of your time thinking about?
Good question. So really what I work on is the people side. I hire all of our internal employees, and I also handle all the internal insurance side for all of our internal employees. So what I think about 24/7 is the people. Where to find good people, how to convince them to come work for us, how to keep them happy. That is what I focus on, people.
So when we talk about infrastructure from your perspective, it's not technology infrastructure or the kinds of physical infrastructure. It's really about human capital.
It is. That's our most prized possession. We could not do what we do without the people. So infrastructure to me means people.
So as you open new offices, and I know this isn't something probably that happens every day, but as you began to design programs for a new office opening, what's the sort of guiding vision around that? How do you think about culture and creating culture as you open a new office?
Good question. We have created a corporate culture that it comes from the top. So we work top down. So every office has the same culture because that is what we decided at the top, that we want every office, when you walk into, whether it's Denver, Nashville, Houston, Austin, Dallas, it is the same culture, same feel everywhere you go. So the paint color is the same, the furniture is the same, the carpet is the same. So that was a big thing for us because that's how you create that culture. We have individuals that can go from office to office, whether they're traveling, they want to go see family, they can work in any office. And that creates that mobile culture that we really strive to have.
Okay, and you talk a lot about standardization, which is really important from a branding perspective and many perspectives. You know, as you say, moving from office to office, people would readily recognize it as a frontline office. Mm-hmm. But if you talked about the people part of the culture, what are some of the values that really are drivers for you? You know, as you're designing and as you're hiring, what does that look like? The guiding thoughts.
So we adhere to a philosophy called the CHEER philosophy, and that is a shortened version of communication is the C. H is for honesty, E is for ethics, R is for respect, and probably our most important letter, E, final E, is entrepreneurial spirit. So when I'm out there looking for people, these are the questions that I'm asking to dig in to see, do they have our core values? Do they adhere to them? And are they people that are going to fit in long term because they have these values?
Okay, excellent. We've been spending time in this short segment talking largely about the internal culture at Frontline Source Group, which you are the designer of. We're with Ceesun Andrews, Infrastructure and Design at Frontline. But let's take it external and shift gears slightly here. What are some of the biggest challenges that you find your clients have with their hiring process, and how do you address them from where you sit from within Frontline?
It's a good question. Really, it is the speed at which they hire. We just came out of the largest recession coming from the Depression. And so employers thought they had 6 weeks, 8 weeks to hire someone. It is now flip-flopped. We are turning into a candidates market. So when we find these right people, they need to move quickly. They can't sit on them. They can't decide, well, I'll get back to you in 2 weeks. And we've had trouble convincing our clients. It takes a few losses for them to realize.
This is fascinating because Bill alluded to this as well. As you see the supply-demand cycle moving out of it, that's where you're right at that edge where people are not yet conditioned to that kind of change, right?
No, they are not. They are not used to it. They still think that the clients, they can wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that they are in charge. They are not. Top talent is flying. We cannot find people quick enough.
Wow. And is that good for your business in general?
It's great for our business.
That tension? Yeah.
It is. It's that nice balance. The tough situation because we are finding these top people, and it's frustrating when you find a great person that's a perfect fit, and the client thinks, well, let me see just one more. That's our job to go in and say, no, there isn't just one more. We found the right person. Let's move on him. You're going to lose them.
Yeah, and you guys just have to know within the spectrum of all the interviews in your process when you hit that sweet spot, that sweet candidate that's just the right one, and you know the client, and
We do.
they may not know themselves well enough yet, so to speak, to understand that that is the sweet spot, that's the one you want.
Right. We know the company's culture. We pride ourselves on knowing the company through and through the culture, what they look for, how they hire, and then we also know the type of candidates that are out there. Experts in what we do. We're experts in this field, so.
Yeah, yeah. How does technology play in it? I was talking with one of your teammates, Gabi, about this a little bit, and she said that it's oddly in Nashville, it seems that face-to-face is still a little bit more prevalent than the video technologies that I know you guys are using system-wide. So talk about your perspective about that. Why do you think that is?
It's interesting in some of the smaller markets. It is still that culture where we want to see you. We're relationship based. We want to get in front of you. Larger markets, it's all video interviews. Time is money, and so they would rather do the video interview because they can turn it on and they're in and out in 15 minutes. So it's interesting the different dynamics in the different cities, but we have capabilities to service all of the clients regardless of the city.
Okay, beautiful. We've been visiting, thank you, Ceesun. We've been visiting with Ceesun Andrews. She is the Vice President of Infrastructure and Design. There, I said it. Frontline Source Group. She handles all the internal hiring of employees there and opens new offices for them as they continue to grow. Ceesun, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, David.